Yes, I am wearing a top. I swear to God. Just looks like I'm naked. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting my Zodiac video series where I just talk about all of the different zodiac signs, starting with Virgo. Of course, I am a Virgo. My cat Becky is a Virgo and Pehi is a Virgo. This is a Virgo household at the moment. Virgo is the titties, and I know the most about Virgo obviously because it's my sign. So it's just the perfect starting point for me. The main reason I want to do these videos, aside from the fact that I'm just all about all the astrology shit, is the fact that I want to learn a little bit more. And just doing this one, I've just learned so much more about my sign, and just, it's cool. And I hope that I can show you some things and maybe we can just learn from each other. Just because I'm not an astrology expert or a professional in any way, shape or form, I just love it and think it's super interesting. If you are a Virgo and you don't relate to every single thing that I say in this, please keep in mind that every single person has their own individual birth chart, and we are all made up of every single sign in some way, shape or form. So you might not be a Virgo and you might watch this and relate to it. Chances are you've got Virgo somewhere in your chart. That's a whole separate video that one day I'm gonna make. Today's not the day. Just Google astrology birth chart, or maybe I'll just leave a link in the description to a really good website where I usually get my astrology birth charts from. But yeah, you're not just your sun sign. I'm just gonna be talking about Virgo as a sign in general. You might relate to this more if you're a Virgo sun, moon or rising. But yeah, this is just a general thing of fun, and yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and get into it. So of course, for my notes, I did the most Virgo thing ever, and I just wrote pages and pages and pages of shit. So please rest assured that these videos are going to be thorough as fuck, and I've tried to include as much as I possibly can. So if your sun sign was in Virgo, that means that you were born between the 23rd of August and the 22nd of September. Virgo is a feminine sign ruled by the element Earth and by the planet Mercury. Virgo is usually symbolized by a woman carrying a shaft of wheat and is typically referred to as the maiden or the virgin. This image of Virgo carrying the wheat represents their hard-working qualities and their independence and their passion for their work. The word Virgo comes from the Latin meaning unwedded girl or maiden. So back then, virgin kind of meant an independent, free woman who wasn't married and who wasn't owned by a man. It wasn't actually until the 1300s until people started using the word virgin to describe someone who hadn't had sex before. It pretty much just meant that she was unto herself, doing her own thing, not relying on anyone else, and, you know, not a part of a partnership. And that meaning just kind of lost its way when Western society started to become more like patriarchal and all that great stuff, you know. And in Greek mythology, Virgo represents the goddess Astrea, who is the goddess of innocence and purity. And people taking note of the constellation dates back to the Babylonian times, approximately 1000 to 700 BC. Back then it was known as the furrow, representing the goddess Shala's ear of grain and representing the results of hard work. This is what I find so interesting about astrology, is that there's so many different records of different signs. And Virgo, for example, there's so many different records of the same sign, and they all have very similar meanings. So I just think it's interesting that during all these different times in civilization that people have taken the same energy from all these signs. I don't know. It's weird. Birthstones associated with the sign Virgo include peridot. I've always called it peridot, but I don't know if it's peridot. I don't know. Cute little greenstone, sapphire, moss agate, lapis lazuli, and chrysocolla. So now I'm just going to talk about what we're all here for, and that's the personality traits. And when I'm talking about these, I don't want to seem like I'm just describing myself. I know a lot of other Virgos and we all share very similar traits. So one of the main things about Virgos is that they're analytical as fuck. So they're really great at taking a problem and then breaking it down into smaller little parts to understand the entire situation and then fix the problem. Virgos are really hardworking when it comes to something that they are passionate about, but they're very realistic and practical. So they're not the type of people to just wish and to just sit there and imagine all the great things that could be happening. They're definitely very, very ambitious, but not in the way where they're going to be going after things that are unrealistic. They will go after things if they think it is possible. They're more likely to think, hey, is this actually going to happen? Is this some far-fetched bullshit, or is this something that I can actually go ahead and go after? They're generally really good with money in the sense that they keep themselves stable and afloat by themselves without any external help from other people most of the time. But like I said, they're very practical and they know how to keep their shit down. They are super organized, so they're really good at budgeting and knowing where their money goes. They're good at planning things. Also, when it comes to being really organized, Virgos know exactly where their shit is. Even if you go into a Virgo person's house and the place is fucking trashed, they will know exactly where every single thing in that house is. So they're organized in a way where they know what's going on. Some Virgos are just super particularly organized, and their stuff will be set up perfectly and it will look very organized to literally anyone that has a look at it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that every Virgo is like that. Virgos are also perfectionists. So when they do something, they want to do it well every single time. There's not really any half-assing with Virgos, unless of course it's something that they don't really give a shit about. It would drive a Virgo absolutely nuts if they put their work out there and it was not finished. Like I mentioned before when we were talking about the symbolism of Virgo, they are also very independent and they don't really like it when someone tries to cramp that freedom. That's one way to piss off a Virgo. Tell them that they can't do something or that they're not allowed to do it, or to try and restrict them. They will not have it. They don't like it. The best place for a Virgo to be is amongst nature and animals, obviously because Virgo is ruled by the element earth, but that's really where they need to be because they're so like perfectionist and driven to like do things. But Virgos really need nature to unwind and to just reconnect and to find that spiritual sort of connection with the planet, just because they're so analytical and realistic and more on the sciencey side of things than they are on the spiritual side of things. So nature really helps them bring them back down to earth and to level them out. Back onto Virgos being analytical, it can almost be seen as judgmental to an extent, just because in social situations you might see Virgos to be a little bit more like reserved and shy. That's at first. If you've never met them before, they're probably not gonna be so like brr and jumpy and crazy. And I mean, sometimes they do, like look at your freaking chart, but generally they'll be a little bit more quiet when you first meet them because they're analyzing the fuck out of everything. They're trying to suss the situation, they're trying to suss the people, they're trying to suss the environment, and this can sometimes make them seem a little bit judgmental. They're not trying to be judgmental, they're just trying to be really freaking cautious because they like to wait and know things for themselves first before they start acting on anything or trusting anyone. Virgos are also super honest. They generally will only lie if it's like a little white lie, you know, just to spare someone's feelings or something like that. They're also very sarcastic, which can be good and bad because, you know, we all love a bit of sarcasm. If you know me, I'm like a walking sarcasm. Is that even a thing? If something shit happens, I'm like, that's great. It's such a good time. And again, this can be a good or a bad thing. If a Virgo is getting shitty with you, they'll be fucking sarcastic. And you know, not a lot of people like that, which is kind of understandable. When you're in an argument with someone, you don't want someone being all like, oh yeah. But also on the flip side, they can be very serious when they're not being sarcastic. So yeah, when a Virgo isn't in a joking mood and you try and joke with them, they're probably not gonna appreciate it. You'll probably cop it a little bit, or you get the silent treatment or something like that. Just leave them alone. Just leave them the fuck alone. But they are also very good at hiding their feelings. They really don't want people to know what is going on or their freaking personal issues. They're not gonna know. No one's gonna know because they're not gonna say anything. They're only gonna tell you shit if they want to. I'm gonna get into some of the weaknesses / challenges that Virgos face. They can be very irritable, easily annoyed and moody. Not all the time, but something can just set them off like that and they'll be a little bit moody. The best thing to do when a Virgo is kind of pulled back and they seem a little bit annoyed and moody and stuff and a little bit quiet, is to just don't. The reason that they've withdrawn themselves a little bit and become a little bit quiet is because they don't want to talk to anyone. They want to sort their shit out and their mood themselves, and they know that they can do it. So just don't fuck with them. They got this. It's okay. If they need your help, trust me, they will ask or they will vent to you, because they love complaining. They love complaining, and if they're not complaining, they don't want to talk about it. Virgos can also be very petty, even if it's just the smallest thing. They'll just be like, no, sorry, can't do it. They can also be very nervous and anxious because they overanalyze the fuck out of everything. Like I said before, Virgos are very analytical and they're just always assessing the situation, and it gets to the point where it can be very obsessive. They will see the tiniest flaws in things. They will worry constantly about shit, and a lot of the time they're aware that they're worrying about shit, but they just find it very hard to stop until they 100% know what's going on. They just always need to know what's going on in a situation, and they just want to be in control of things. Virgos can also be very health orientated. Not all the time. I made a massive batch of brownies yesterday and half of it's gone already. Had some for breakfast, had a little bit for lunch. So, you know, this isn't to say that Virgos are just constantly only eating Buddha bowls. They love knowing that they are healthy, and well, they hate being sick. It could honestly be to the point where they're hypochondriacs. So one minute they might have like a weird bite on their skin, and then they'll go on Google and then all of a sudden it's cancer. They'll just freak out over the tiniest things when it comes to health related stuff. They can also spend a lot of their lives being very, very unsatisfied because they're constantly working on the next thing, and they tend to not take a lot of time for themselves to just chill. And it's really hard for a Virgo to just sit and not do anything. And if they do, like they spend a whole day in bed doing nothing, or you know, they take a whole day to just relax and get their hair done, they'll still feel kind of unsatisfied because they feel like they haven't done anything all day, even though every other day they've just been constantly doing something or working or studying, or you know, they're just very hands-on and just have to be working on things. And it's just hard for them to reach a point where they're like, like this is it, we finally got here, or like, yes, like now I'm just gonna relax and not worry about what I'm gonna be doing in an hour's time. Virgos can also come across as very bitchy and judgmental. If they don't like you, they're probably talking a lot of shit about you to their friends. They won't really do it in a way where they're stirring trouble or trying to start an argument with you or anything like that. But don't get me wrong, Virgos are very much here to serve other people. They just love helping people. That's just one of the main things about Virgo. I know I've been talking about how they're very independent and can do things on their own. It gives them purpose knowing that they're helping someone or entertaining someone or just doing something for someone else. So when I say that they can be really bitchy, I don't mean it in a way where they're trying to like cause drama amongst other people, because that's literally the last thing that Virgos want. They just can have very, very high standards, and if you don't meet those standards, they can be very, very critical and cold sometimes, but they don't generally mean it in like an evil, nasty way. They're just kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? But in that way, they're also really good people to ask advice from, because they freaking love giving advice, and they're very blunt and straight to the point when they give advice, which can be good or bad depending on how you take it, but they really do mean it in a way that is trying to help you. Now, some of the things that Virgos really like, one of those is accomplishing things and ticking things off of their list. Not every Virgo is like this, but I am disgusting. Like if you look at my phone notes, it's just scroll, scroll, scroll. So many notes. Getting things done is one of the most satisfying things to a Virgo. Probably one of the hardest things for a Virgo to do is to just actually chill. And this might be a little bit hard to believe sometimes, because a lot of Virgos, when you look at them, a lot of them seem really chill and just relaxed, because they just don't let anyone into that shell. They love projecting this perfect picture to everyone that everything is fine and perfect and they're just unbothered by things, but on the inside they're just a nervous wreck. Virgos also love facts and figures, like I mentioned before about science and spirituality. Virgos tend to lean a little bit more towards science. They love proof and they love justice. Virgos are kind of the perfect between an introvert and an extrovert, because they love helping people, but they're also just so well put together on their own, and they love working on their own things, so they love having their own alone time. Virgos love learning and improving their knowledge and their skill set, which is why they love books or anything educational, like an educational TV show or a documentary. They love that shit because they love expanding their mind and knowing about real life things. And Virgos do love a normal movie or a fiction TV show, but they love analyzing the fuck out of them. They love symbolism, they love breaking things down, or they like to know how a movie is made or how it came to be. They love breaking it all down. They love knowing all of the behind the scenes stuff because it just helps them and it expands their mind, and they feel like they can put it to good use to whatever the hell it is that they're doing in their life. Now, onto some of the things that Virgos dislike. They freaking hate being rushed. They know what they're doing. They're gonna do it in their own time. They fucking hate it when people say chop chop. Suck my dick. They don't like people unnecessarily touching their stuff. I remember I had like a musical keyboard piano thing in my room when I was in high school, and half the reason why I sold it was because people would touch it all the time. I would have people over and they would come into my room and then they would just start like playing the fucking piano, and it would shit me so hard because they couldn't play it. Listen to me, people. If you're going to someone's house and you don't know how to use a freaking musical instrument, do not pick it up and pretend that you can, because you can't. You can't do it. Unless you can, don't. And ask permission. They hate carelessness and untidiness and disorganization. They just can't work in an environment that is like that. They hate it when people act stupid or act dumb. They won't go along with it. They won't go along with it because they see right through you. They're not going to be like, oh, you're so funny. No, you're being an idiot. The thing is with Virgo, with them being so like over analytical and full on with the criticism, they just think that people are stupid a lot of the time. Constantly, every single day, they will ask themselves, why are people so fucking stupid? And when it comes to stupidity, Virgos just find it very hard to cut people slack. They're just like, why? Why would you do it this way? Like, why are you like this? Why are you acting like this? They just don't get it. I just don't get it. And wash yourself. People, wash yourself. Why do you smell so fucking bad? They will not stick around and fucking breathe in your goddamn aromas. Deodorant. Soap. People. Virgos really hate bad manners as well. If people don't say please, thank you. They like it when other people are like them. They like it when other people are very independent and orderly and organized. They just kind of want everyone else to be like them. Is it so hard? Just for an example, like Pehi and I have had conversations before about people owing money and stuff, and we, you know, we're both Virgos. We just pay people back as soon as we get the chance to do it. We were just talking about having to chase people up for money that they owe us, and like having to hound people for money. A very common thing for a Virgo to think is, well, I'm like this, so why can't they be like this? They just expect people to be a certain way and do certain things as like an unspoken thing. And when they run into things like this, where they actually have to like hassle people to do things, they just go into that mode of like, why are people so stupid? They can have a very pessimistic vibe, unfortunately. Now, just to wrap it up and give like a little summary kind of thing, Virgos love nature, they love helping people, they love their independence, they love knowing things, they love learning, they really love working on things that they are passionate about. They're just constantly wanting to achieve more and more and more. While they might come across as really critical and judgmental of other people, the people that they are most critical of are themselves. The main thing that Virgos need to work on is chilling out and not putting so much pressure on themselves to do things so much. And even though that's kind of like their whole vibe and their purpose in the world really is to just do things and help people and work on things, and they're so driven, they really just do need to take some time out and reconnect with nature and find some sort of spirituality connection to level themselves out, so that they're not just constantly burning themselves out and not feeling good enough, because they freaking are. Virgo is a really cool sign, if I do say so myself. I would also like to mention some famous Virgos. They include Pink, Beyonce, Tim Burton. I Adam Sandler, Freddie Mercury, Bill Murray, Amy Winehouse, and Macaulay Culkin. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, I do a lot of spirituality type stuff. I feel like I'm going to do these videos as the seasons come. I don't know, I see how I go, but I really enjoyed this. I feel like I really know my sign now. I hope that you learned something. Is there anything that you want to add or share? Are you a Virgo? Do you know anyone who is a Virgo? I would love to know, so you should leave a comment below or even message me if that's your thing. If you like this video, then please feel free to give it a like. If you want to see all the food that I ate, you can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, all my shit is in the description. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.